So I want to start off with a statement that some of you may not be aware of and others of you may have forgotten. And if you're anything like the way that I was, you may have just hardened your heart to the reality of this. And it's that people were made to love and be loved. And it seems like such a simple statement, but yet it's so profound. That people were made to love and be loved. It's just how we're wired. And when we forget this simple truth, we become bitter, we become resentful, angry, mistrusting, you name it. If we allow this to happen in our lives, the results actually can be devastating if we're not careful. So just for a moment, I want you guys to sit back and get comfortable. And I want you to lean back and just close your eyes for one moment. Everybody here, just close your eyes for one moment. And I want you to begin to think about the person in your life that you absolutely love more than anything else. Go there for me. Go in your mind's eye who you love more than anyone else. The person who, God forbid, you were to lose, or you may have already lost. You would do anything in your power to reunite with them again. Whoever that person is, just take a moment and see them. Think about all the things that you love and you appreciate about them. All the sacrifices that were made. How they loved you. How they cared for you. And how many memories that you made with them. You guys feel that? It's real, ain't it? It's very real. Right. Now open your eyes. So, now watch this. Just suspend your disbelief for a second, and let's just say that today you actually hit the lottery, the Powerball, for a record-setting like $2 billion. Now, if you got $2 billion, I mean, everything that you ever thought of doing, you're pretty much accomplishing that right now. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I would sit on the bed. If I just had this kind of money, this is what I'm going to do. And I mean, like, every dream comes true now, right? But let's just say that that person that you just thought about comes to you, and they let you know that they're going to die tomorrow. But there's this new groundbreaking research, there's new groundbreaking medicine that's there that can actually save their life. And he tells you, it's crazy because it's not even real for me to even do this, because you know what they're asking for the price of this groundbreaking technology to save my life? And what do you think they're asking? $2 billion. So then the question is, what do you do with that $2 billion that you've just been waiting for your whole life to get? And for many here, you're like, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I give it up in a second. Why? Because you already understand the power and value of love. And you understand that you'd rather sacrifice and have nothing outwardly just to have everything inwardly. You'd have little to nothing. Like go live in a cardboard box and have that love present. Then have everything and have nothing. So what does this little exercise teach us? It teaches us that there's one constant, powerful truth in this force that's fueling our emotional fluency. That's more important than anything in this world. And that's true love. It's the reason why I named this talk, the most important thing that we can't afford to live life without. And if we don't have this true love in our life, life just ain't life. In the English vocabulary, there's really only one word for love. You know what it is? Love. I love you. I love cupcakes. I love this song. But not all love is equal. And if you say you love me the way you love a cupcake, I don't know about that, right? But the Greeks, they were masters at vocabulary. And they have several words to define love. And for the purpose of this talk here, we're going to deal with the three most common. And the first one we're going to deal with is like philia. Philia is like a brotherly love, where we get Philadelphia from, right? The city of brotherly love. Then you have eros. And eros is that sensual, erotic, passionate type of love. And then you have agape. And agape is that unconditional, selfless, sacrificial love. And that agape love is the most true and purest form of love out of all the loves that the Greeks define. And chances are that that person that you were just thinking about when we did that little exercise, that person that you were willing to sacrifice everything for, that person demonstrated that agape, that selfless, unconditional, sacrificial love for you. And we were willing, based on that experience and what we got from that person, right, to sacrifice the deal of a lifetime just to reconnect with something so precious that we couldn't afford to be without. So I want to get personal for a minute. And, when I was a child, I was deeply wounded in many, many ways. And as a result, like most people do when they go into survival mode, I built walls of protection around myself to survive. And I built walls so high and so thick that nobody was coming in there. No one was ever going to hurt me again. And I vowed that I would never give my heart to anybody like that, because every person I gave it to, they destroyed it. So at least not in totality would I give my heart. I give it in pieces, just in pieces, right? And by doing this, I actually kept myself from the most important thing that I couldn't afford to live life without. And what was that? True love. And it's this true love that's sacrificial at its core. And watch this. True love actually says this, that I'd rather you hurt me than me ever hurt you. When you really have this true, unconditional love, you'd rather that someone hurt you. That's how much you love them, than you ever hurt them. And I didn't trust anybody. Anybody. I mean, especially in a relationship. I had levels of trust, but I mean, either it's it's the truth or a lie, and either you trust or you don't. So I really didn't trust anybody. I just had, I guess, different levels in this own warped mind of mine, right? So that I found myself getting married in 2001, and I'm 3 months into this relationship with my first wife, who passed away in 2014. But my first wife, she deeply sensed things. And I remember 3 months in, I remember the table, I see it right now, and we're sitting down and we're talking, we're looking at each other, and she just stops. The utensils just click the plate, and she's like, you never gave me your heart. And I'm like, what? But I knew what she was saying. And she's like, no, you never gave me your heart. And I was 100% guilty. She's like, why would you marry? Why would you marry and do that? I love you, she said. And with tears in her eyes and everything. I mean, I felt so guilty. I felt so bad for hurting her like that. I don't think I ever felt that bad for hurting any person in my life. And I had to look deep within myself and say, why is it that I don't do that? And I just looked at her and I said, I just don't know how to trust. So the crazy thing is, I'm a semi-intellectual person, right? So insane. So why did I think that I was ever going to develop intimacy without trust? Like, how do you have intimacy and not be honest, open, and transparent with somebody? You have to trust someone in order to do that, right? So it's so sick, man. It's just sick and twisted thinking. It's completely opposite to everything that I'm speaking about tonight, right? Because it's opposite of things that are selfless and sacrificial and unconditional. And this so-called love that I had been walking around with was the exact opposite of that, because I was selfish and my love was conditional, And I certainly was not giving at all, right? So true love at its core, it's selfless. It's giving. But lust, hear me, lust, that we confuse with love, that's very selfish. And it takes what's in it for me, what's good for me. How am I going to profit from this? So many people in this life just limit their love to just simply phileo and eros like I did, or like I used to. And so many people in relationships, they do this and they just go from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship to another relationship. And how blind we are to think that we're going to get from others the very thing that we're not willing to give ourselves. And we walk around in society judging others by their actions and then ourselves by our intentions. And we think we're going to have this beautiful flower garden, right? When all we're planting in there is thorn bushes. So how can we ever develop true love and intimacy without trust? And the answer is we can't. We can have eros. We can have lots of eros, right? But not intimacy. Because remember, true love, it says what? That I'd rather you hurt me than me ever hurt you. And that true love is always sacrificial at its core. Meaning it's selfless and it's always life-giving. So in order for us, or any of us, to experience the one thing in life that we can't afford to live without, we're going to have to muster up enough courage to be the change that we want to see in other people. And we do actually possess what we need to make a difference. We actually possess the capacity and the potential to love. And you know why we actually have that? We have that because we witnessed someone first love us. So I want you to think about this. Just imagine this. Imagine a world and how the world would be if it demonstrated this kind of compassion, this type of sacrifice, this type of forgiveness, this type of love. Just imagine that. And what a wonderful world it would be. Thank you.